We will start with the next topic, that is sociology and common sense. Okay, so this is the third topic of your chapter 1, paper 1. So we are started off with paper 1, chapter 1, and this is your third topic. So we completed emergence of sociology, and then we have discussed about the scope of sociology. So when we discussed about scope of sociology, I've told you, even if you face any problem, when we have discussed yesterday, if you have some technical terms, if you're not able to understand any of those terms that we have discussed, for example, positivism, non-positivism, ethnomethodology, phenomenology, functionalism, conflict, I know you might be facing some problem with these terms in understanding, but we will cover all these in the coming sessions. When we start with thinkers, all these things will be easy for you, and for that matter, these words, Rare, who's this Vivo? Please turn off your mic and video. So how many times I should tell you this? So when we discuss about the next chapter, that is sociology and science, tomorrow we will be starting with the next chapter. So there we will discuss about all these positivism, non-positivism, ethnomethodology, phenomenology, micro, macro. I will introduce functionalism, conflict, etc. So don't worry about that topic. Yesterday I've got a message from one of you that yesterday I used some technical terms and you were not able to understand. I know that will be the case with most of the students, but don't worry about that. In the beginning itself, I have told you, you may face some problem because what we are going to discuss in the future is what I'm going to discuss, right? I discussed that in the beginning itself. So it was just like a glimpse of what we are going to do in future. So obviously it will be difficult for you. So don't worry about that. Now, when we discuss about sociology and common sense, again here, what you need to know is, this is again a very, very simple topic. You don't want to learn, you can write it from your side easily. But first you need to know the context of this. Okay, so you need to know the context of this. So when you discuss about the context, why this debate is there, sociology and common sense? The debate is mainly there because you see, sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe, and then sociology is studying different elements like social changes, etc. And when you talk about the elements that sociology study, mainly religion, family, politics, social change, etc., are very much common. All these are rooted in the minds of people. For example, today if I tell you let's study family, you will obviously ask a question, what is there to study in family? If I tell you let's discuss about the functions of family, so you will ask me what is the function of family? We all know, right? So the problem with sociology, or the general perception about sociology, is everybody think that they know everything that sociology study. So sociology is nothing but the application of commonsensical knowledge. This is how people understand sociology. And that's where you see your GS paper 2 is completely connected to, or your sociology paper 2, if you see, it is completely connected to your GS only. Right, you will see green revolution, you will see community development program, you will see cooperatives, you will see family, you will see tribes. All these are common things that everybody know about this. So what is there in sociology as new? This is the question. So the main debate here is whether sociology is common sense or not. Okay, so we need to understand the context. So I hope you understood the context. The context is very simple. Sociology emerged, and that sentence and everything you can write in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe, that you can explain. And then since its emergence, sociology started developing, and the scope of sociology is gradually widening. Sociology is studying different aspects of social reality like family, religion, politics, social life, etc. And in this context, people started believing that, or you can write, people started mistakenly believing that sociology is nothing but the application of common sense. And that is the context of the debate. Now, how will you answer this question? So once we discuss about the context, or once we understood the context, now we need to find a solution, right? We need to answer this question. So the structure will go like this. You need to explain what is common sense. Okay, so what is common sense? This is something which every one of us carries something in our mind. That is what common sense. When we talk about religion, we all carry certain things about religion, God, etc. This is common sense. When we talk about family, again, we carry certain things, anything and everything, we carry certain things in our mind. That is what generally common sense. And we believe it is to be true, but it is not necessarily correct all the time. But we believe it is to be true. That is our common sense, right? We won't say that our common sense is wrong. But in case of sociology, when you explain what is sociology, we'll take a different stand. We'll say sociology is a product of theory, development and testing. It is not just a mere belief that you carry in mind. It is based on evidence, it is based on reason, it is based on theory development, it is based on testing, it is based on practical applicability, it is based on different perspectives, it is based on various concepts. All these we are going to study. Okay, so in that context itself, we have defined what is common sense, what is sociology. So obviously in the definition itself, you will understand sociology have something much more than common sense. It is a product of theory, development and testing. It is based on logic and reason. It is based on evidence. It is based on a study which is conducted. It is based on rationality. It is based on scientific temper. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to discuss about differences. What is sociology and what is common sense? So we will discuss about the differences like what we have discussed now, and apart from that I'll give you the differences. All these are very simple, and then we will talk about the similarities between them. Is there anything similar? Is there anything common? So these are 3 steps. First you need to explain what is common sense, then what is sociology, that we have done, then what are the differences, what are the similarities. Now we need a conclusion. In conclusion, basically you don't want to say something is superior over the other. That means I don't want you to write an answer where sociology is much bigger and superior than common sense. Without common sense, sociology will not be there. You cannot be a sociologist if you don't have a common sense. If I don't have common sense, I cannot come and teach you here, right? And if you don't have common sense, you cannot study sociology here. There is no point in you are sitting in this class. So common sense is actually a basic element which is a starting point, and without common sense, sociology is fruitless. So there is no question of relative inferiority or superiority here. Both are mutually beneficial, both are mutual stimulus, both are beneficial to each other. Without common sense, a sociologist cannot work. In fact, common sense will act as the starting point of the research. So this is how we manipulate our conclusion, and this is how we will write our conclusion. We don't want to say something is superior over the other. And this is a very simple topic. Okay, so the questions you can see here: sociology and common sense. Sociology is nothing more than common sense. That means sociology is just common sense only. Second, sociology is much more than common sense. Obviously, you will be writing this as your answer. Sociology is having much more to do with common sense, but that doesn't mean that we will consider something as inferior and superior. But sociology is much more than common sense. It's based on theory, development, testing, rationality, scientific temper, logic, reason, evidence. All these we will write. Okay, so let's see the context. The scope of sociology mainly draws from understanding of society. The various constituents of society which sociologists study are rooted in the minds of people. What do you mean by this? Various constituents of society that sociologists study? We are talking about family, we are talking about religion, we are talking about crime, we are talking about suicide, etc. So all these things are there in the minds of the people already. In this context, people... So see, for example, if I talk about Green Revolution, it is already known to you what is Green Revolution. So if I ask you, you will tell the answer what is Green Revolution, you can tell. If I ask you what is the impact of Green Revolution, you will tell. Okay, so you met, but mainly what you will tell, you will hardly tell that from food scarce country we became food rich country. But there are many more things. If you remember in the introductory session itself, I have told you one of the impact of Green Revolution, that it adversely affect the sex ratio. So in Punjab and Haryana, where Green Revolution was successful, why sex ratios skewed or sex ratios against the female? Because from non-Green Revolution area, there was a migration to Green Revolution area. These are agricultural laborers, and when the agricultural laborers migrate, they won't come with family. So male population will increase in the Green Revolution area. Okay, so that resulted in skewed sex ratio in Punjab and Haryana. Also, because of Green Revolution, they became more affluent. And they got money, they have the access to ultrasound technology and all, and they can go for female feticide. So these are the reason. And I have also connected it with, because of Green Revolution, that led to feminization of agriculture in non-Green Revolution area, because male people migrated to Green Revolution area. So Green Revolution led to feminization of agriculture, feminization of poverty, etc. a GS student will never write this. They can't even imagine, they can't even think, and for that matter, none of you will even think of it before you attend sociology class. That I can guarantee. Right? So that is what sociology. So there is a difference between sociology and common sense. Common sense is something which everybody know. But sociological knowledge is a product of theory development testing based on various perspectives, various in-depth into human society and its reality. Yeah, it is often argued that this is not sociological, what sociology study is quite obvious, and thus the relationship between the two must be delineated carefully. Commonsensical, now we are going to, what we are going to do, this is our first step. We will define what is sociology and what is common sense, okay? Commonsensical explanation represents the things that everybody knows about the social world or human behavior. Okay, so common sense is something which everybody know about social world or human behavior. These views are in the nature of beliefs which a common man carry in the mind. We all carry certain beliefs in our mind and we believe this to be true. But these beliefs may not be necessarily incorrect, it may not be true also. Correct, no? But in general, they are assumed to be true by the common people. The validity of the commonsensical view is not generally questioned. Nobody is actually going to question what is the view that you carry about a particular social institutions or phenomena. On the other hand, sociological views are in the nature of arguments which are based on logic and reason. These are not simply in the nature of assumptions, but are arguments which are based on evidence, reason. On this basis, the differences and similarities or the superiority and inferiority between the two can be examined. So commonsensical knowledge, nobody is going to test, but sociological knowledge, it will be criticized, it will be evaluated, it will be scrutinized, it will be tested. Okay. So differences, sociological knowledge is a product of theory development and testing. Common sense is just based on assumption. All right. Sociological knowledge is based on insights to human society and culture, and these insights are often objective and coherent. So sociological knowledge will be objective and coherent most of the time. On the other hand, so common sense knowledge are not always coherent and they contradict each other. They contradict each other. For example, the statements like birds of the same feather flock together and opposites attract, these are contradictory, right? These are commonsensical statement. Birds of the same feather flock together means same people will be together, right? At the same time, opposites will attract, that means opposites will be together. So these are actually contradictory, these are commonsensical statements. That's what I'm saying. Sociological knowledge, it will be objective and coherent, but common sense not coherent, it will contradict. This is an example. Common sense is sometimes nothing but the general perception about individual experience. It is based on your own experience and it cannot be generalized. But sociology aims at generating a worldview on the basis of experience which are tested. That means something which is generalized. For example, general perception about crime. So you may consider crime is bad, crime is bad and it should not be there. But as a sociologist, you will understand later, crime is functional. Crime is required in society. Okay, if crimes are not there, police system, judiciary, nothing will function. And all of a sudden, if something happen, then there will be a big turmoil or chaos. So certain rate of crime is normal in maintaining the police system, judicial system, or to keep a check on these institutions. Similarly, certain rate of suicide is normal. Everything is normal. And that's how we as a sociologist will come to understand later. As a normal person, you will say, crime, no, not bad. No, not good, all right? Like that. But that doesn't mean that will justify all forms of inequalities or all forms of crimes. Okay, we don't want to justify the rape of a minor. Now, next point, commonsensical view tend to reinforce the status quo. So what it is presently, continue with the same. That is what commonsensical understanding. Status quo means maintain the status, reinforce this situation, or resist social change. It won't promote social change. For example, caste system, it won't promote the changes in caste system. On the other hand, sociological knowledge is meant to be progressive in nature and it promotes social change in a desirable direction. So most commonsensical view on caste system tend to legitimize caste, where sociological understanding of caste system tend to reject it. Okay, so I hope you understood. What is a commonsensical understanding? This is the orthodox religious people, the belief that they carry in our mind, right? When anti-Sati resolution was passed. For example, this upper caste Hindu people started going against it, Widow Remarriage Act, right? So, and untouchability, constitution, everything. So people started believing that this is against the religion and unnecessarily interfering in the religion, etc. So that is again a common sense belief that will resist the social change. But sociological knowledge is meant to be progressive in nature. It promotes social change. So sociology will promote or reject the caste system. Commonsensical views are often based on images which get reinforced through stereotypes. Images means, see, when we talk about a villain or when we talk about a hero or saints, something will come to your mind, right? And that was reinforced through tradition, through some, and there are some stereotypes also based on that, right? This kind of dress you will wear, this kind of haircut you have, etc. So those image which you carry in mind, that is purely commonsensical, but that's not the case. Okay, the saints is not necessarily wearing all these same dress that you might be thinking about, right? On the other hand, sociological views is not based on stereotypes, rather it challenges the stereotypes. So these are differences which you can write. All these are very simple, self-explanatory. Similarities, apart from this, sociology also draws from common sense and shares some similarity. See, what all things we have discussed now, we are going to write exactly the opposite now. Okay, exactly the opposite. And now we are going to support it. Concepts in sociology are framed by taking into consideration the commonsensical understanding. So we are saying that all the concepts are framed with the commonsensical understanding, and it often acts as the starting point in the development of the context for sociology. So common sense is considered very important. Commonsensical view provide raw material for sociological investigation. The problem or issues addressed by sociology are taken from the commonsensical views. For example, sociology of gender aims at questioning or analyzing the commonsensical view about gender. Right? Common sense also help in development of discipline, as it often criticizes the sociological conclusions and which enriches the discipline. So you come up with a sociological conclusion, you make a theory, and by using common sense, people will keep on criticizing it. So it will actually enrich the discipline. Sometimes, this is the fourth one, sometimes sociological knowledge become part of the commonsensical knowledge, thereby development of common sense will also improve. For example, after we complete our sociology, okay, what will happen? The way you are thinking now and the way you are going to think after completing our syllabus, whether it is inequality or women or anything, family, religion or anything related to society will be entirely different. The view that you are going to take will be totally different than what would you have taken before the sociologist, before you studying the subject. Okay, so in fact that will become part of your life, and that means your common sense will improve. That's why time and again says your personality will improve, your character, your knowledge, the way you think, the way you see things, the perspectives, everything will change. Now the kind of essay that you are writing, for example, if I give you a topic, you write an essay, but once we complete the syllabus, the kind of essay that you are going to write will be totally different. It will be filled up with perspectives. Okay, so that kind of maturity also you will get. So this is a conclusion that the relationship between sociology and common sense is intricate and mutually beneficial to each other. The postmodern theorists even claim that there is no such thing else the truth and all knowledge is uncertain. In this context, the relative superiority or inferiority is meaningless. See, the postmodernists say there is only one thing, that is truth, and nobody knows what exactly the truth is. It can be sociology, it can be anything, it can be common sense. So except truth, every knowledge is uncertain. Okay, so here I am saying mutually beneficial, mutual stimulus, mutually supportive, and in this context there is no question of relative superiority or inferiority. It is totally meaningless. Now one article on sociology and common sense. So this has came in newspaper. You can just read this and you will understand. In case if you get any good content, you can write in the answer. But for this particular question, if it is asked, this is the content, this is sufficient and this is enough for you. So what I have done is I have discussed about the context, we have developed the context. What is the context? Since most of the points, most of the elements that a sociology study are already rooted in the minds of the people, people started mistakenly believing that sociology is nothing more than the application of common sense. And that's why this debate is there. That's why this discussion is there. So what we need to do, we need to explain what is common sense and we need to explain what is sociology. What is common sense? Common sense is something which everybody carry, the knowledge that common people have. Okay, that is something which everybody know about any social phenomena. It may be correct, it may be wrong. It is not necessarily correct, it is not necessarily incorrect also. But the point is the validity of which is not questioned. Nobody is questioning that. But in case of sociology, this knowledge is totally based on theory development testing, based on logic and reason, based on rationality and scientific temper, and the validity of which is tested and questioned. And then we have discussed about the differences. I have given you 4 differences, and then we discussed about the similarities, and then we go for the conclusion. In the conclusion, we say both are mutual stimulus and beneficial to each other. So I hope you understood this. Any doubts we can discuss now from the first chapter. We can spend around 10-15 minutes, no problem. First 3 chapters, emergence, scope, and this, I can spend 15 minutes.